Hi, I'm Desi Serna, author of Fretboard Theory, Guitar Theory for Dummies, and Guitar Rhythm and Technique for Dummies. In this free guitar lesson, I'm going to show you how to play a few parts from the song Funk Number 49 by the James Gang, featuring, of course, Joe Walsh. This song includes some great examples of using chord shapes derived from the guitar cage system, and it also features a great pentatonic scale riff. I teach the cage system and I teach pentatonic scale patterns in the Guitar Theory video instruction that's available on my website, and I reference this song, so here's our opportunity to take a closer look at it. This lesson is suitable for intermediate level players on up who are already familiar with standard bar chords and strumming technique. You can follow along with free guitar tab. To get it, just go to the link in the video description. To get my sound for this song, I'm playing a Strat-style guitar. This is a Bluesman Vintage 62 Sedan, and it's got some Seymour Duncan, I believe they are Antiquity surfer pickups in it. I'm plugged into this little Fender Pro Junior amp. I'm not using the speaker on it. I'm using this Rivera Silent Sister isolation cabinet. It's got a Celestion Vintage 30 in it, and I've got a little bit of reverb then added at the board. So here's the sound. I'm actually in position 2 here using the bridge and middle single coils for that quacky Strat sound. Alright, so let's get started with the parts. Here are the main chord changes that you hear in the intro and during the verses, and I'm going to slow it down for you a little bit. Alright, so be sure to have the guitar tab in front of you. I've got it in front of me right here. The first thing I'd like to point out is that this song is it's got an A mixolydian mode sound, which means you're mainly using notes and chords drawn from the D major scale, but you're focusing on the 5th degree A, creating A mixolydian mode. That's why you see a D major key signature in there. But there's a little bit more going on than that. You've got some blues elements with some minor intervals, which come up in the riff that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But first, the main chord changes that you hear in the verse and you also hear as part of the intro are based on the chords A7, D, and G. So if you were to break it down to basic chords, you'd do something like, and then you do something like, so that's A, D, and G. But we're going to use some different chord shapes. So first of all, we're going to use an A7. And you are actually going to play fret and play just strings 2, 3, and 4, and then use the 5th string open like this. And if you look at the tab, you notice that you actually hammer into the major 3rd there on the 3rd string. So there's a little bit of a blues element there going from that minor to major 3rd. So you've got... For the D chord, you're going to just play, think of an A form bar chord like this, but you're just going to play these 3 notes right here along strings 2, 3, and 4. And then back to your A7. So A7, D, back to A7. Then you're going to play D, G, D, and you're going to do it like this. You're going to play your D the same way, but fret it with your index finger this time. Because then you can hammer on your 2nd finger and your 3rd finger, and you're going to play a bit of G in C form. So here's G, a C form bar chord. And we're playing just this much of it. You're going to hammer into it and come back. Now I teach the cage system at length in my video instruction that's on my website. I'm not going to get into the details here. This is just an example of how you would use part of that cage system. So you've got A7, D, A7, D, G, D, and then from here you play D, and then back to A7. Now let's talk about the rhythm here. There's some syncopation. When do you accent the chords? There's also some muting in there as well. So looking at the first measure in the tab, let me play it exactly as written. So it's like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, And let me just stop right there. So after you play that A7, you have some 16th note muted strokes like this. Down, up, down, up. So it's... And after that second A7, you do the same thing, actually. So it's... Then you come up here. So let me do that again for you. So you got... So, you know, you have to relax your hand on those muted strokes, and so that you're muting the strings. All right, second... Actually, this is a couple of 16th notes before the second measure. That's your hammer on there from D to G. And then D right on beat 1 of the next measure. And that's a dotted 8th note, so 1 E and you play it again on so it's 3, 4. And if you're strumming 16th notes the whole time, which I think is the best way to do this, that 1 E and will be on an upstroke. Up. Let me back up. Let's go back to the beginning. And I don't think I have this notated, but it sounds like in the recording, Joe Walsh may have put a little bit of vibrato on that when he came back to D. So instead of just, it might be something like, if you can get some vibrato out of that chord. All right, so after the D, a couple of D strokes here in the second measure. You've got some 2 more muted strokes there. And then you're going to play D again, but you want to move to your third finger here to set yourself up to the chord for the chord change that's coming after it. So you play D again, and then you go back to your A7 with the hammer on. So I like to move positions. I like to go as opposed to doing something like this. But I suppose it could work either way. So I move positions there, but that's still D. And so after that D, you play A. And let's just back up and go to the beginning. So you've got... Again. All right, after that last A7, you've got some more muted strokes. And then you've got this. Just the open A and then the 5th fret. So that's 4 and So that if I put it all together with those extra muted strokes and those extra notes, it's... So... Again, I'm kind of picking up, I got some pickup notes and I'm running into just measure 2 here. And sometimes I just play some 8th notes at the end there. Or I think I heard 16th notes on the recording, but sometimes I just go. Whatever you want to do. Just got to fill the space there a little bit, and then you repeat, you're right back to the beginning. Whoops. And that repeats throughout the verse. All right, next we're going to move on to measure 3, and this is the riff that's featured in between the verses. And this is based, let me play it for you first, and then I'll explain what it is. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit. It goes like this. This this is straight out of the A minor pentatonic scale. Now, A7 is a major bass chord. It's got a major third in there, so you might think, wouldn't you apply the major pentatonic over it? Well, yes, you could, but another option is to play minor pentatonic over major. I talk about this in my books and my videos. It creates kind of a blues flavor, and it's very common on seventh chords, and it's very common in Mixolydian mode, which this song is based in. So here's A minor pentatonic pattern 1. Again, I teach the pentatonic scale patterns at length. I'm not going to get into those details right now. I'm assuming that you already know them, and you're just looking for an opportunity to apply them by playing something familiar. So the riff starts on the octave A here at the 7th fret on the 4th string, and you go backward in the scale. And from here, you're going to skip over the tonic pitch A, and you're going to go down to the to G, and then just slide into it. And there's a little bit of syncopation there. It starts out as straight 16th notes, but then you have some rests, and you play some notes that will, if you're picking 16th notes, you're going to rest on some downstrokes, and you're going to pick notes on the upstroke like this. So watch my right hand. So think 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So down, up, 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 up. You don't have to keep your pick moving like that, but it kind of helps to find to find the correct placement of each note to do that. So. And then after this, you've got a couple of muted strokes, and then you just play part of an A major chord. Again, we've got that minor over major kind of blues mixture here. And then you do the riff again, and you hold it and sustain it the second time, and then you've got some muted notes at the end of that measure again. So. Then this is interesting. In order to kind of add some variety, this riff is just transposed up a whole step. So go from A minor to B minor pentatonic. Think about a B chord. So we're kind of out of the key now temporarily, but it's going to go right back. So here's the same thing 2 frets higher. At the end of the B riff, you play an E7 sharp 9 chord, and then this has got a kind of a dominant push back to A, and it brings you back to the original key. So E7, think about a C form, E, and then if you put a flat 7th in there, you get this shape. You might know C7 like this down here, so you're moved up playing E7. If you play the 7th fret of the 2nd string, that's an E9. You've got a root 3rd, flat 7th, and there's a 9th. If you raise that 9th up a fret, that would be an E7 sharp 9. You might know this as the Purple Haze chord. Jimi Hendrix made this chord kind of famous. It's an interesting chord. It's a type of dominant chord, so it's got a dominant push. But it's also got some tension in it with that sharp 9, because that sharp 9 is actually a minor 3rd in the next register. What's interesting about this chord is that you have E's major 3rd in it, G sharp, and then here's E's minor 3rd in the next register. Here is a sharp 9. You know, the intervals go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 is the same as a 2nd, and when you raise the 2nd a half step, it actually becomes like a 3rd that's been lowered by a half step. So you've got a major 3rd in here, and a minor third in here. So it's a really interesting tension. There's a lot of tension in this chord. Okay, so that chord comes in right at the end of that B riff, and it comes in quickly. So as you're finishing this riff, you hit this on an upstroke, or if you want to think as one of what is that? That's on the 1E and You come to B on the downbeat, and then on the very next upbeat, you have that E7 sharp 9. So it's. Let me do that again. When you play the song up to tempo, it's kind of tricky to get to that E7, so you just got to get there as quickly as you can. You don't have. You can play with an upstroke or downstroke, whatever accomplishes the correct rhythm. And then from here, you just you can go back to the verse. There's more going on in the song, but that's all I'm going to cover. I really just wanted to focus on those parts because they are a great example of using a little bit of Mixolydian mode, a little bit of the cage system chord shape, specifically that C form. The other chord shapes are kind of standard. And it's also a great example of using the pentatonic scale to play a riff. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this free guitar lesson. If you'd like to learn more about music theory for guitar, including guitar scales, chords, progressions, modes, the cage system, pentatonic scale patterns, and more, then go to my website at guitar-music-theory.com. That's guitar music theory with dashes in between the words. When you get there, sign up to join my email list and receive some free materials. And you can also take a look at some of the full courses that I offer. Well, thanks for watching. Please click like on this video and leave me some positive comments.